Hi, I'm Dr. Dawn Cherie Paramore, licensed therapist and prevention scientist, and I'm here on DETV Every Woman. And today we're going to be talking about health and wellness. On the panel, we have four amazing, including myself, guests. So we're going to open up. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Jolisa Coatman. I am a project manager, and I'm also a former Miss Delaware USA. So I'm very excited to be here today on DETV Every Woman.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Lynn. I'm a teacher by day, actress by night, and I'm so excited to be here on DETV Every Woman today.
Hi, I'm Candace Norris Jenkins, also known as the Diabetic Mom Coach. So I support moms to help them gain clarity, confidence, and control over diabetes without the mom guilt. So super excited to be here today.
So we're going to actually bounce right to you. Yes, mom coach, because I was just diagnosed with diabetes. And one of the things about it, aside from going through menopause, they didn't tell me that I was diabetic. Actually, that diagnosis has been there for years, but my doctors didn't say anything to me, which is negligent. But now that I have this whole new thing I have to worry about, how do you suggest mothers like me handle something like that in terms of your health?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You know, as women, we go through all these things that we was talking about, right, ladies?
So, yeah.
Hormonal imbalances, just taking care of our kids and our career. So it's really hard to kind of find that time to take care of ourselves. But you know what I've learned is that we cannot pour from an empty cup, right? And so it's really important to take care of yourself before you take care of other people. And so, Dr. Dawn, I would just recommend that you get some, first, like I say, clarity. Understand what diabetes is and how it affects you, because it's different for everyone. I've been a type 1 diabetic for almost 30 years. And unfortunately, I had to go through some of the pitfalls. I've had 2 kidney transplants. I've had eye surgery. I've had it all. And so that is my mission, is just to help women to be able to take care of themselves so they can kind of avoid some of these things. So once you get that clarity, now you need some confidence. You can do it, okay? I don't care what the doctors say. You know your own body better than anyone. And I want you to stand in that, knowing that you know you better than anyone else, okay? And so after you get that confidence, now you're in control. So with that information, you know what kind of foods you can eat. You know what kind of exercise you need to be doing. Now you're in control to be able to make better decisions for yourself.
Speaking of hormones, I know that you are a pageant girl. We're both sisters. I did a lot of Miss stuff, and then you're doing Miss US. We did a lot of Miss USA stuff. How do you think that this type of conversation affects those that are in pageantry? Because that's all about your image and how you look and how you're supposed to be on television, radio.
Yeah, so it's always about how you look and never about how you feel, which is really what I've been focusing on this year for myself. So have you ever heard of PMDD?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone? You have?
I have.
Premenstrual dysphoric disorder.
Oh.
Yes, and it's essentially where your hormones during your period drop very, very low and very, very high, right, doctor?
Yep. Not medical doctor.
Okay. So I've just been doing a lot of research on this. I just found out that I had it at the top of the year. And pageant related, you're under a lot of stress. Like you have to make it to every single appearance that you can. You have to look perfect all the time. You have to, you're training. I was training twice a day for months.
Wow.
Very, very strict diet, but we never focused on our hormones. Even in gyms today, we do not focus on our hormones. 90% of the clientele that are in gyms right now are females. So why are we so focused on fats, carbs, and proteins and never about our hormones? There's not enough emphasis on that. So that's something that I've really been diving into because, again, for me and my personal experience, I was put on birth control way too early and for way too long. And then you don't really get to learn how your body is with your hormones. And then it's constantly changing on every cycle of your life. When you're a teenager, you're in your 20s to 30s, after you have children, and then menopause too.
Yeah.
So it's really important to learn about.
I really wanted to jump on that topic before we switch. I just recently got off of birth control. I just turned 30 years old, and I've been on it since I was, 13.
Yeah.
My gynecologist at the time looked at my periods that were very few and far between, let's say. And she said, we're going to put you straight on the pill because you could go through menopause at 13 years old. At 13, you don't think about getting a second opinion. So my entire life, I was thinking, I'm hardcore Italian family. Like, I want babies. And, this doctor when I'm 13 is saying, stay on the pill. And if you don't, you're going to go through menopause. And if you want to, have a baby the normal way, you're going to have medical intervention. I just turned 30 and my OBGYN right now told me that is not true. Go off the pill if you want to. Nothing will happen to you. You will not go through menopause at 30 and you will have a baby successfully. Trust me. So I wanted to jump on that with the birth control really fast and for a really long time. So I'm horrible at math, but 17 years I was on it, and
to be on medicine.
And you're, like you said, you don't know what's going on with your body. You don't know what's going on with your emotions. I can't lose weight, and that's not an excuse, everyone. I cannot lose weight. I've tried every dietary supplement you could think, every diet. It just will not happen. And I feel like maybe, I'm not medically inclined, at all, but I feel like maybe when you're on the pill for that long and things are changing and the pill really manipulates your body into what it wants it to do, emotion wise, period wise, physically, everything. So I feel like when you're on it for half of your life, things could just work the way the pill wants it to work and not the way it should. Does that make sense? It's not the way it should happen.
Ask you a question. Yeah. You want to have kids. If you have a daughter, what would your advice be for her? Do you think that going on birth control that early, it's hard, right?
It's hard. It's so hard. I started my period when I was 10, and you don't know what's going on. I'm an only child, had older parents. They didn't know what was going on. I would just always say, if I had a daughter, or even, even a daughter or even a son, anything medically, get a second opinion. Yeah. Always.
I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To be honest, ladies, I was a little older because of my health challenges. But let me give you some encouragement, okay? Because of my health challenges, like I said, I've been through 2 kidney transplants, countless surgeries. After I got my second transplant, 6 months later, I was pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
So don't tell me what the doctors say, okay?
Exactly. Okay.
I was diagnosed with postpartum depression, but PCOS, so polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
And at the time, they did put me on a birth control because they said, well, that's going to control your menstrual cycles. Well, the problem is, after I had 23 miscarriages and a stillbirth, and it was my stillbirth, and they did the autopsy, found out that he had this blood deficiency called protein S deficiency, which means that I had protein S deficiency, and we had to figure out which family member. So birth control is not always the key, because I can't do birth control because I have blood disorder. It could kill me.
And why is that always their first solution?
Yeah. Take this pill and you will be fine.
Why?
Yeah.
So what made you dive into the hormones? Totally curious.
Well, my boyfriend at the time had begun to say certain things that were overlapping from a previous relationship. And then I was like, oh, it's me. So I had to dive into that a little bit. But then I realized, I was talking to my therapist and a few doctors, and the things that I was feeling and experiencing the week before my period were not normal. And I didn't know that, because, there's this saying oh, she's getting her period. What does that mean? Yeah. I didn't know that not everyone, I'm exhausted. When I tell you I have no energy, and the rest of the month I'm this happy-go-lucky, could run a 5K, go to work, do the grocery. I'm everything. But that week, it takes me out. I'm miserable. I'm depressed. The thoughts are not good. And I just thought it was normal. I thought it was something that I had to deal with. And I want younger girls to know that it's not normal.
You mentioned a therapist. So can you speak briefly about that therapist? I'm a therapist. And I believe, my Dominican family, half Black Dominican family, we believe that you keep everything inside. You don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Here I am as a therapist. So I'm just curious, what made you say, okay, this is the route I need to take. I need to get a therapist?
I've actually always had a therapist. I think everyone needs a therapist.
1,000%.
And I think everyone needs to be comfortable talking about what they're going through. I'm a very open book, because then I get to learn from people. Mm-hmm. And so she was able to help me pinpoint that I actually do have PMDD. I had a little chart I started tracking. And then I'm very much about holistic. So I want to solve this holistically, because my doctor, again, told me birth control. antidepressants. I'm not taking any of that.
Right.
I feel like, you know, we have this earth. Everything that we have on this earth comes from nature. There has to be a way to fix this holistically.
Well, ladies, we can go on and on and on, but I would like to thank you for tuning in to DETV Every Woman. If you want to hear more topics like this, definitely tune in. We will see you soon. Bye.